welcome to the Art Museum of the Americas. My name is Andrés, Navia, director of the museum. We're really happy that you joined us this evening. I'm not going to do much introductions. I'll go ahead and present Ambassador James Lambert, who will start this very informal book launch event. So, Ambassador, please.
Pues muchas gracias, Andrés, y bienvenidos a todos. Thank you very much for coming here this evening. I've only been at the OAS since October, so this is the first time I'm starting to see this building in more, delightful weather conditions, and I'm really starting to appreciate how it lends itself not only to great artistic venues, but also to very convivial get-togethers of art lovers and knowledgeable people about Latin American art, and so we're here for one such event in Selma and Mari-Tere. I think it's great to have you here with us this evening to be part of the launch of your new book. I hope so. I was talking about maybe I think it's just I come from Vancouver, where we're used to just pushing through these. But anyway, we're here for the launch of your book, which I think we want to congratulate you on. And it's very fortuitous to have someone here of your knowledge as a museologist and a recognized expert on not only Latin American art, but how to display, mount, and take best effect from that here. I would be dishonest to say I'm not taking advantage of Selma's trip here to mine her knowledge about how to run museums like this, because I want to drag you into being a collaborator in the project that I want to tell you all about, which is the sustainability strategy for the Art Museum of the Americas. I think as you look through Rimmer Cardillo's wonderful exhibit here, you'll get a sense of what this place can be and how it can speak not only to great Latin American art, but to the values that the Organization of the American States stand for, and the trademark that General Almagro has brought to us, which is more rights for more people. This art has to connect not only with people but with society in the region, and I think this exposition does. This book is very important about telling us how that can be achieved. So it all comes together in a very nice way tonight, Selma, and I just want to say how delighted we are to have you and Mari-Tere here to participate in this event, and we look forward to very fruitful collaboration with you both.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Lambert. Selma, again, thank you. I met Selma probably 4 years ago when the OAS had this rebranding project, and we hired the Art-Centered College of Design in Pasadena, California. And for some reason, Lydia Bendersky, the director of the museum in those days, was with us in this exploration with the Art-Centered College of Design, and we ended up being together at this event, and it all started there. And then it was a very pleasant re-encounter when Selma started with the remix book project with our participation. So we're really thankful for including us in this wonderful project. And timing couldn't be better. The museum is going through this very exciting process of relaunching itself, and the sustainability project that Ambassador Lambert is leading.
You gotta wait for it to go by. I'm not catching anything.
So I think timing couldn't be better. This book deals a lot with museums that are in need, and we're really happy to be part of it and to be launching this book at the same time that we're launching this new sustainability strategy. So this is absolutely wonderful. A little bit about Selma. Some of you know her quite well, some of you don't. So a little bit about her. Selma received her BA in Spanish Literature and her MA in the art of Jose Rivera, and her PhD in Goya with her dissertation on tauromaquia. She has written extensively on Spanish and Latin American artists, but her passion and work of the last 20 years has been on museums and their changing roles in society. She began as a curator at the Norton Simon Museum in Pasadena, assisting Norton Simon in building his remarkable collection. And she has continued and built her career at the University of Southern California as director of the US's Fisher Museum of Art and its International Museum Institute. All this while being a full professor of art history at USC. Selma also developed USC's renowned museum studies program, training many great museum professionals. It would be wonderful to be part of this program at some point in my life. Okay. Holo's publications include Beyond the Prado, Museums and Identity in Democratic Spain, Oaxaca and the Crossroads, Managing Memory, Negotiating Change, Beyond the Turnstile, Museums and Sustainable Values, and of course now Remix, Changing Museum Conversations in the Americas. Mari-Tere, thank you so much. I didn't do much research about you, so apologies. We were rushing, but Mari-Tere is the liaison between education and the curatorial department at the Paul Getty Museum. She's also associate director of USC's International Museum Institute. And of course, in addition to Remix, she's also a co-author of Beyond the Turnstile, Museums and Sustainable Value, which she works with Selma. And I'm sure you have many publications and articles that I don't have here, but I've heard a lot about you.
Oh my goodness, you're so sweet.
We're
Thank
really
you.
proud to have you here.
Yeah.
So, Selma,
All right.
the floor is yours now.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to get closer so that we can. Why don't you
You
all
get
come closer
closer.
to me? Okay, so that make it easier so that we can hear each other. Great. I want to thank the ambassador for receiving me this morning and allowing me to be engaged in the conversation about the future of the museum, and dear Andrés for the work that he's done and for giving us the privilege of launching this museum, this program, this presentation here at the Organization of American States. It couldn't be a better place for this to be launched. I want to thank your staff who's helped with making this possible, and my own staff who are here, Kay and Celine, and I'm really grateful to them. And of course, I want to recognize Mari-Tere, my co-author on this, and who has worked with me on many projects in the past. And thank you, Mari-Tere. I really, really appreciate it. Mwah. Now, I want to mention, it's very important that I mention the authors in the book who are here tonight. There are 40 authors, so don't worry, I'm not going to mention them all, but the ones who are here tonight are Andrés, of course, and former director Lydia Bendersky, Andrés, Navia, and they are central to the development of Remix. This is a noisy place. All right. So we're really, really grateful that not only did Andrés and Lydia write in the book, but they also did the situation for us here tonight. Carlos Tortolero, where's Carlos? Carlos, my old friend from Chicago, the director of the National Museum of Mexican Art in Chicago, one of the innovative, one of the really important museums in this country. He's one of our heroes, and Mari-Tere and I had the privilege of crediting that museum not so many years ago, and they deserve an A+, no question about it. Jane Burrell and Karen Slotzman are here from LACRA, representing the great Next Gen project that they originated. We're really glad you came out for this. And Susanna Bautista, where's Susanna? Another former student of mine who is now in the senior staff at the Pacific Asia Museum, a museum that has partnered recently with the University of Southern California, and we like to feel has given it new life. Now, in a way, the longest travelers, and really, in a way, very thrilling for us, is Dr. Manuel Araya and Lina Badantes. Dr. Manuel Araya is the president of the Academy of History of Costa Rica Academy, and Lina Badantes is the executive director of the ADIAS Foundation for Costa Rica. I'm sure you know that the president of Costa Rica is a Nobel Prize winner, and we're incredibly honored to have him and Dr. Araya in our book, and I think it makes a very good point about originations of museums. And Ben Garcia, where's Ben? Where's Ben? Hey Ben, old friend Ben, Ben is the associate director of the San Diego Museum, and he is an old friend, and he's already using the book to help deal with the issue of the return of sacred objects and human remains, and I think creating new conversations. I want to thank the UC Press for publishing this, University of California Press. They understood that conversations in the Americas are where it's at. That's where we want to be. And finally, I wanted to thank Chris Holo, my daughter-in-law, who came all the way from New York to support me, as she does so many times. She's really my daughter. I only use it legally to say daughter-in-law. She means that much to me. And Profaya Kazi, my best friend. Where's my Profaya? Who, in the words of the Spanish author Gracian, has been multiplying the good and dividing the bad in our long-distance friendship. Thank you. I've been asked to talk for a few minutes about the book itself so that you have some idea why we're bothering with all of this. And I wrote a little talk, and I hope you'll bear with me because I think it'll help you get a grasp on all of this. Remix, the book, is what it says it is. It's a tool to change museum conversations in our hemisphere. It has two prongs. Both of them are based on the theory of panarchy, a theory well respected and acknowledged in the natural sciences, but not heretofore recognized in the world of museums. The first prong of our theory of panarchy is based on disrupting the normal conversations in museums. Conversations normally, as Carlos knows, based on hierarchies, disciplines, levels of prestige, and budget. We are proposing instead a panarchical conversation, one that eschews hierarchy, but is not, on the other hand, anarchy. Rather, it is panarchy. It is an inclusive, porous, dynamic, and evolutionary state, just as panarchy is in nature. By that I mean normally people in our great museums do not communicate about their great problems by chatting or comparing notes with people in little tiny museums in a pueblo or in a smaller city. Natural history museums are not normally in conversation with art museums. High prestige museums in great cities do not normally confer with museums with staffs of 2 or 3 in the provinces or the mountains with budgets of centavos compared to their own multi-million-dollar budgets. This is a great loss because some of the great creativity comes from the smaller museums. Some fabulous ideas come from the larger museums that can be scaled down and can be used in different ways. There has to be a new way of thinking about the value of our colleagues wherever they're from, because we can all reconnect and interconnect in different ways. So we can profit from knowing each other, even though it may not be obvious that we fit in certain categories. It's very important in the museum world. All you have to do in the book is to look at the table of contents and see Nobel Prize winners, such as President Oscar Arias, advocating for a museum piece along with Dr. Manuel Araya and Nina, and even Mario Vargas Llosa, another important Nobel Prize winner, in the same chapter in the table of contents. I don't have the book with me, but you can look at the book over there, and you can see in the same chapter these great thinkers will be in the same chapter with the head of the communitarian museum movement in Oaxaca, because they have a way of talking to each other that can really be mutually nurturing, I think. And or the Museum of the Environment and Art in Reno, Nevada will be in a similar chapter with the director of the Met in New York, who developed an incredible way of creating technological contacts. All of these ideas can be shared and can be rethought given our particular situation, higher, lower, different category or whatever. We need to open ourselves up. So this prong of remixed conversation of a panarchy is at the heart of the book. It's a methodology. The idea of panarchy, of communication, is the leap of the imagination we made by adapting this life science theory to the museums. The second prong of the book is more directly based, again, thinking nature, on the adaptive life cycle loop that exists in nature, as described in panarchy. We have adapted those lifestyle stages from nature and identified parallel lifestyle stages in life cycle stages in our museums. And these life cycle stages have become the chapters themselves. So we have a chapter on origins, for example, the origins of the Peace Museum. And there's a chapter on conserving and conservatism. What happens when your museum has been founded, but is entering into a stage for the conservation? Or where sometimes conservative ideas have taken over and trapped thinking. So there's that. Second is the conserving stage, for better or for worse. The third is uncertainty. Okay, everything's been consolidated, conserved. You think you're going to go on forever, and little problems start to creep up, and little ideas of reform creep in. They don't always take, but you know that something has to be done. And the last stage is renewal. When things come together, perhaps new leadership comes in, who knows, and you have, you know, the Mobius strip, you know, like a life loop. So even when it's renewed, it's going to go back to rethinking and uncertainties, and it's going to keep on going. And museums need to be alive in that way, and not get stuck in origins, because it's not going to, I mean, you know that, Carlos, you have to really keep rethinking what it is that you do, no matter how brilliant it is. And I believe that it really, and Michael too, we believe that it really helps to be in conversation, not only with like-minded spirits, we're used to that, but maybe with unlike-minded spirits, where we can see things freshly. So we imagine that those of you who buy the book, who have the book, who borrow the book from the library, will look first at your own stage. You know, you're going to say, "Oh my God, we're just beginning a museum, the Peace Museum," or we're in a later stage of a major project in the museum. Karen and Jane, where are you? Karen and Jane were here. There they are. Oh, I'm sorry. They're here from LACMA, a giant museum, but they're running a rather giant project called Next Gen, aimed at the next generation of kids in that big museum. We were talking about having been there at the beginnings. This is now, I'm sure, it's 13, 14 years old now, and it's probably, you probably are rethinking things as you go along, or no doubt will. And I think it's important that it's not only about the giant museum itself, but also the things that happen within a museum, and that the conversations need to happen there too. So then we think that what's going to happen is you're going to start to be able to envision your own museum within the life loop, the origins of conserving, uncertainty, and renewal that we're suggesting. You're going to be able to mix it up in your conversations, and you're going to understand that, as we all know, you don't step into the same river twice. Your museum cannot stay in the same river twice and can't stay in the same stage of its life cycle. It has to continually adapt and change. So, in conclusion, this book, aside from exposing us to some wonderful writers who have never been in the same room together, and probably never will be in the same room together, but they're in the same chapter together, can help you in your own strategic thinking and planning. In rethinking and reimagining the possibilities outside of your own kind of category, as a great encyclopedic museum, as a history museum, as an art museum, etc. It will help you realize that your museum in its present stage will inevitably evolve into the next stage. It will help your leaders know what they need to do, what they might do, and to hear from others in similar and dissimilar situations. It is basically a book of great optimism, believing that we can learn from each other in a more embracing and intersectional way than we've been doing in the past. And I appreciate very much that you're here and that you listen to me, and I thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, this book gives us tremendous hope and like a really positive approach to a museum that is going through difficult moments. The OES is going through difficult financial moments, and you have to be creative and positive. And we actually have been in presence for many, many years, and we are like a living organism. We're constantly adapting ourselves. And I also wanted to, talking about living organisms and nature and the inspirations that you have found in this, I want to acknowledge the presence of Mari-Tere, who's the artist of the art exhibit. And actually, Reimer's work is strongly inspired in nature. People tend to view nature as unorganized and wild, and he sees tremendous order and structure and opportunity in natural structures, and there's a wonderful coincidence
Yeah.
in both of your theses. So that's fantastic that both of you are here tonight. So thank you, Rime, for making a special effort and being here tonight. Okay, so I guess we're done. I don't know if you have questions for Selma.
Or Mari-Tere?